Good evening. I'm Barbara Berrigan-Perea, and welcome to Our Living Delta, our kickoff benefit campaign for Restore the Delta's 2021 summer. Tonight's benefit has shaped up to be so much more than just a call for funding. It's a story where we have been as an organization, what is at stake for the San Francisco Bay Delta estuary, and the comprehensive vision that we hold for a healthy and restored region. We're at a critical juncture in our struggle for protection and restoration of the Delta. The state's relentless and singular pursuit of a Delta tunnel has resulted in decades of neglect in the management of the Delta's waterways. This ongoing neglect is now manifesting in a potential environmental health crisis of water and air pollution. We fear the crisis will only worsen as the state drought orders have suspended Delta protections that even are never fully enforced in the best of years. That is why today, with a broader coalition, we have filed a legal protest with the state in order to protect the Delta. Do we want an estuary that's filled with toxic algae that will kill fish and wildlife, destroy local economies, and endanger public health through the water and air pollution that manifests from the algae? Or are we going to unite and articulate a regional vision for the Delta, a place where environmental stewardship creates economic strength for everyone, a place where wildlife and fisheries thrive, a place with sustainable family agriculture, a place with a thriving urban waterfront that supports tomorrow's sustainable industries, and a natural place of beauty and wonder that will inspire all our youth from both our urban and rural communities. Can we make this unified vision so compelling and so powerful that it supplants the incorrect vision of the Delta as a water donor region? Our team knows what side we want to be on, and we have a plan for getting there. We hope you join us on the journey toward building a healthy Delta. Our story this evening could not be told without the support of our sponsors. We would like to take a moment to thank Snug Harbor. Nikki, we appreciate you. Herringer Estates, Steve and your family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Dante Namalini Jr., we appreciate your support. Michael Eisler, our constant friend from San Francisco. Korth's Pirates Lair, you are the heart of the Delta. Oxbow Marina, we are very grateful. And the Repass Rogers Foundation, you were the first to respond to our call for this campaign. And the AG Spanos companies, we are grateful for the years of faith from you in our work. I would also like to thank this evening Mariah Looney, Leo Marquez, and Ava Simpson for their heavy lifting to make this event happen. Trust me, this did not happen because of me. We would not be here tonight without them. I also want to thank our members, partners, climate water advocates, staff, and friends who helped with videos that shaped tonight's story. We would also like to thank 3 wonderful groups who donated their musical performances to us this evening. From Sacramento, Papa Hip, Steve and his group put a memorable show on for us in early 2019. From Stockton in Italy, Baseball Greg, and also from Stockton, Oliver Opus and Diana Oshana. I want to thank our board members, Roger Mammon, Mike Machado, Larry Rustaller, Natalia Orfanos, Joan Buchanan, Michael Frost, and Bob Wright for their continued support. And we appreciate all our supporters for helping our organization with your time, talent, and treasure. In our first segment this evening, you'll hear from a few of our Restore the Delta board members and their families. Our community partners, Lang Luntau, Dylan Delvo, Irene Kalimlim, regional partner Catherine Phillips, and Stockton City Council member Kimberly Wormsley will talk about connections to the Delta and why the Delta is important. We'll have 2 musical performances, first from Papa Hip and then from Oliver Opus and Diana Oshana. Our staff members, Tim Stroshane, Brian Smith, and Mariah Looney will share their aspirations for the Delta and Restore the Delta. And rounding out this first third of the show this evening, you're going to hear from the future. Our climate water advocate team, Gloria Alonso Cruz, Zani Thompson, Darius Waiters, Natalia Braza, and Catherine Perea. They will talk about what matters to them in the Delta and what they want to see happen in the Delta. Taking away this first segment, we're going to start with retired State Senator Mike Machado.
Hi, I'm Mike Machado, and I want to thank you for participating in today's fundraiser for Restore the Delta. I've been on the board of Restore the Delta for over a decade, and Restore the Delta is more than just preserving the waterways, the levees, and the agriculture in the Delta. Restore the Delta works to preserve the diverse ecosystem, the cultural diversity, in addition to the fundamental water, levees, and agriculture that make the Delta such a unique place. Your support of Restore the Delta will help preserve our ecosystem and the culture and the diversity that lies within the Delta. It will also work to protect us from the greed of government agencies and corporate interests. Thank you again for your contributions.
Hello, my name is Roger Mammon. I have lived in the city of Oakley, which is on the banks of the San Joaquin River, for nearly 37 years. I'm a fisherman, boater, and waterfowl hunter. I have enjoyed countless hours on the Delta in my boat and duck blind. My passion found me becoming involved in Delta recreation. I became a member of the West Delta chapter of the California Striped Bass Association over 20 years ago. I am currently the chapter president. I also belong to the Lower Sherman Island Duck Hunters Association and served as its president for 8 years. Most importantly, I have been a board member of Restore the Delta since its inception. Fishing in the Delta for the past 3.5 decades, I have watched the Delta slowly die. I used to see salmon rolling on the surface of the water on their way up to their native spawning grounds. I watched salmon and steelhead smolts jump out of the water on their journey to the ocean. It has been years since I saw this spectacle of nature. There are fewer fish to catch and the average size is much smaller. The most enjoyable aspect of hunting waterfowl in the Delta is getting into the blind before first light and watching the world wake up and the Delta come to life. In addition to waterfowl, I get to see greater blue herons, egrets, raptors, both red and yellow-winged blackbirds, beavers, river otters, and more. Our Delta is a major stopover and wintering area in the heart of the Pacific Flyway. Barbara Berrigan-Perea was selected from several well-qualified applicants to lead that effort. Under her guidance, the mission statement was created to restore the California Delta so the waters that pass through are fishable, swimmable, drinkable, and farmable. That mission has not changed. Our efforts have been thwarted by the Bureau of Reclamation, the Department of Water Resources, the State Water Resources Control Board, south of the Delta Farmers, the Metropolitan Water District, the Wonderful Company, water contractors, as well as governors of our state. Although Restore the Delta has been supported by a large coalition of Delta interests, the time has come to include a more diverse squad of young water warriors. Our campaign now covers the adverse effects that come with dewatering the Delta: pollution, saltwater intrusion, poor air quality, harmful algae blooms, agricultural runoff, human health, especially on disadvantaged communities, and so much more. A healthy Delta is important to everyone who lives, works, recreates, or has a business that depends on the Delta being a place. It is not just a hub for water. I do what I do not just for the reasons I've covered, but for the unique place we live in and enjoy. The majority of Californians know little or nothing about the Delta. It is formed by the two largest rivers, the Sacramento and San Joaquin. It once had a commercial fishery that supported over 20 canneries, and now there are none. More than 200 species of birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and more than 20 species of fish use the wetlands and components of the SF Delta region at various times of the year. Unfortunately, our delta is the most compromised and studied estuary in the Americas due to the invasive species, native fish nearing extinction, poor water quality, and lack of concern. That is why we need to restore the delta and the people that care about the unique place we call home. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Penny Frost and I'm from San Carlos, the Bay Area. We are connected to the Delta by water. The San Francisco Bay and the Delta are in the same region.
What's so great about the Delta?
Well, my family and I love to go fishing, birdwatching, and even just hang out there. It is a biodiversity hotspot. It even has a saltwater portion. Lots of animals there are herons, smelt, salmon, and even leopard sharks. Thank you so much for having me, and we need to protect the Delta at all costs.
My name is Daphne May Frost. I live in San Carlos. We need to protect the freshwater flows to protect the fish. Too much water is pumped out of the Delta for almond farms. People and wildlife need water to survive. In the end, we need to restore the Delta, and that is why this beautiful organization has come so far, and that is why I'm so happy to be a part of it today.
Hello, my name is Lang Luntao. I have the great honor of serving as a senior advisor to the board of the Reinvent Stockton Foundation. I'm also on the board of Little Manila Rising. I'm a born and raised Stocktonian, and I'm a proud supporter of Restore the Delta. Congratulations to Restore the Delta for hosting this wonderful fundraising event in a wild time. And thank you to Restore the Delta for all the work that you do to increase access to this incredible resource that we have in our backyards, the Delta, and to ensure its long-term longevity and its health. I remember growing up, I knew that it was special that we had the Delta in San Joaquin County and the San Joaquin River area. I remember in elementary school I learned about the whales that sometimes, found their way from the Pacific Ocean into the Delta area, and the history of shipping and the connection with the gold rush. But I don't think I really truly understood how fragile the Delta was until I went to college and I came back in 2012. And when I came back, I saw all these bumper stickers that said restore the Delta and protect the Delta and fight the tunnels. And at that time, I became aware of this incredible organization that was doing all these incredible things for our community, like protecting the human right of access to clean water and fighting against the very moneyed interests that aim to degrade our water source and aim to really prevent access to this life-giving resource that we need. And if it weren't for Restore the Delta's consistent work to pay attention to municipal water board meetings and to democratize access to those meetings and to kind of translate what's going on in these statewide decision-making bodies to members of our community, I don't think that we would, I don't think we'd still have access to this incredible resource that we are still very lucky to benefit from. So I'm just here to echo the many people who lift up the work of Restore the Delta. Barbara and Mariah and the Restore the Delta team are the best ambassadors that we have for environmental justice, and not just environmental justice, for a chosen few, but environmental justice for all of us, an inclusive environmental justice. So again, thank you to Restore the Delta. I hope that tonight we can come together as a community to raise resources for the critical, life-saving, community-affirming work that you do. And I hope that together we can continue to restore, protect, and and to really increase access to the Delta for residents of San Joaquin County.
Hi, I'm Catherine Phillips, and for nearly a decade, I served as director of Sierra Club California. One thing I learned then was that nobody understands the Delta as deeply as Restore the Delta and its terrific dedicated staff. Nothing in environmental policy is done alone. It truly takes a village to get good policies in place and to stop the bad ideas. Within that village of groups working on water issues in California, one stands out for its strategic and persistent protection of the interests of the Delta and everything that the Delta means for the region and the state's environmental health. Restore the Delta has dared to say absolutely no to the tunnel boondoggle, and it has consistently backed up its position with irrefutable facts and analysis. It has raised the alarm about harmful algal blooms and pushed to get state agencies to pay attention to this expanding hazard. And it has worked to educate others, especially young people, about how to advocate for the Delta and Delta communities. Here's something we all know. Climate change is creating less snowpack and longer droughts. Hanging on to old ideas about how to supply water, ideas based on old precipitation models, is foolish. And sacrificing the Delta and Delta communities because some state engineers and self-serving water wholesalers haven't had the flexibility and foresight to change course sooner, well, that's immoral. Barbara and her team are determined and scrappy. They bring intelligence and the moral high ground to the Delta debate. That local voice that forces folks in Sacramento, at the state capitol, at the water agencies, and people all around the state to listen is urgently needed. Everyone who supports the Delta needs the Restore the Delta team to continue its work. Finally, from this Delta birdwatcher, thanks for your support for Restore the Delta.
Hi, my name is Dylan Delaveau. I'm the Executive Director of Little Manila Rising, and it has been amazing to be able to work with Restore the Delta. They've been helping us educate our community, our South Stockton community, about the beauty of the Delta and the importance of the Delta and the possible effects upon our community because of the Delta. And so it's been an honor and a privilege to really work with Barbara and Mariah in educating our community so we can raise awareness about this important resource in our community. I grew up in South Stockton and I knew nothing about the Delta. I really don't experience the Delta until I'm in my 30s, yet I live 5 minutes away from a levee. I think this is so important because for a population of our community in Stockton, there should be way more advocates for the health of our Delta and for the betterment of our community. And I think we can make that happen with people specifically from South Stockton so that we can have a voice in the community that we're living in the neighborhoods that we have, and so we can truly have a Delta that we can all share. And so high hats go off to Restore the Delta and all the work and amazing work and reaching out to organizations to let us understand the challenges we face as an entire Delta community.
Hello, my name is Councilwoman Kimberly Walmsley from the 6th District here in Stockton. I have a very important message about Restore the Delta. Restore the Delta is one of the most trusted partners and organizations that we have within San Joaquin County. They have worked tirelessly, diligently, and consistently to ensure that our waterways are protected. When I ran for office, I sat down with Restore the Delta and they walked me through the state and condition of our local waterways. I even got a complimentary lunch during my training. If you don't know anything about Stockton, please know that Stockton is home to some of the greatest taquerias. At the end of the training, I was fully debriefed on the issues impacting our water. Restore the Delta was able to connect me with our experts and champions on waterways throughout the state. There are also so many times where they've advocated pull together solutions and strategies to help support our community. They are always a call away. My call to action today is to provide Restore the Delta with the tools, resources, supports, and investments they need to ensure that they are able to fully operate themselves. Thank you for all of your time and commitment, Restore the Delta. You will be getting a donation from me in the very near future, and just know and understand that I appreciate you so very much. Thank you, and do have a wonderful day.
My name's Irene Kalimlim. A really important resource that we have available in Stockton is the Delta. And a lot of our youth don't really know that much about the history of the Delta, and so we're really grateful for Restore the Delta in helping train our youth to know the history, to know the Delta's significance in the rich agriculture that we have in our region, as well as supplying a lot of really important drinking water to our communities, and also learning about all the diversity of the animal and fish species that rely on the Delta. And so if it wasn't for Restore the Delta, we wouldn't know the value of that and the importance of protecting it. And so that's why I support Restore the Delta's mission.
I wrote this song for my father to give him a thrill. After seeing Brazil, my father's music went through me but never got to me until I went down to Brazil. In Rio all day long I hear my father's song. It's got that bossa beat, man, making move your feet. Your real bossa nova is playing every day in the street. It's got that clave beat, man, make me move my feet. No other people can play and sing and dance with such skill as they do it. Brazil, in Rio all day long. Oh, it sounds so sweet. I wrote this song for my father to give him a thrill. After seeing Brazil.
Hi there. I'm Tim Stroshane, Policy Analyst with Restore the Delta. I joined Restore the Delta at a crucial point in fall 2014. Drought was raging and California water fix was happening, and it seemed so huge that we had difficulty imagining that it was stoppable. But it turned out it was. We helped stop the beast through public and social media and before the State Water Board. My job here has been to fit RTD into policy debates before the State Water Board, the California Water Commission, and sometimes the Delta Stewardship Council. We do this by routinely upending the preferred stories of California's water juggernaut. We know that water is foundational to regional self-determination and wealth. Owens Valley learned this the hard way when Los Angeles legally stole its water over a century ago. This plunder sapped the valley's foundational wealth and hobbles it to this day. It doesn't have to be this way for the Delta. Fortunately, Stockton and Delta residents know this in their bones, that it is morally wrong for one region to take water to benefit another region without returning something of equal value to the area of origin. That is the moral argument we pound out daily at Restore the Delta. And my role is to convert that argument into policy terms. When we pivoted to environmental justice a few years back, we did so because we saw deep and enduring connections between environmental justice principles and communities and the best principles of California water law and policy. These include ending disparities in the shouldering of environmental burdens, protecting the public trust resources of the Delta for all, ensuring that water uses and methods of diversion are reasonable, and cajoling the Delta Stewardship Council and other state, federal, regional, and local water agencies to follow state law by reducing reliance on the Delta for California's future water needs. This pivot toward environmental justice is generational too. I'm certainly not getting any younger, and we decided we must train up a new generation of Delta water protectors, young people who are social media savvy and knowledgeable about Delta water policy, law, history, ecology, and climate justice. I'm truly honored to serve Restore the Delta all these years and to help train up the young folks for what's to come. Thanks.
My name is Brian Smith. I grew up on a farm just east of Stockton. I've been involved with Restore the Delta since the start in 2006. At the time, there were lots of threats to the ecosystem, but no coordinated voice uniting conservationists, farmers, and residents from all the Delta counties. So we gathered leaders from many organizations and held an all-day meeting at UOP, where we hammered out a list of common objectives and adopted the name Restore the Delta. To ensure the Delta was fishable, swimmable, and farmable, that was the common ground on which this diverse coalition would organize. These are coincidentally the goals of the Federal Clean Water Act as well. It's been fascinating to watch the organization grow and expand over the years. I'm glad to see Restore the Delta now gaining support from the Bay Area. When we understand the Bay and Delta are one large estuary worth protecting, the Delta gains thousands of new supporters from the Bay. I'm also thrilled to see RTD training a new generation of water leaders who actually grew up in the Delta. The energy and wisdom these young people bring to the fight is very exciting. What makes Restore the Delta different from the big organizations is that it's always been a grassroots effort. Grassroots support has kept this organization alive because the people of the Delta know it is needed, and that Barbara and her team work 24/7 to meet their goals. In the future, I hope Restore the Delta can win an increase of water flows through the Delta that protects California's vanishing fish and to protect our communities from harmful algal blooms. I also hope the beauty and history of the Delta become a tourist attraction for the Bay Area and Valley residents. Many don't even know this beautiful resource exists in their own backyards. Keep up the good work. Restore the Delta.
I also think a lot about, particularly in Stockton, because I grew up in East Stockton, born and raised, and until 2015, when I became an intern for Restore the Delta, I had absolutely no idea the Delta's impact, not just on the region, but on California. And so, unfortunately, that's a typical Stockton story. And, you know, we're seeing that a lot with our climate water advocates, where they're all so invested in, you know, what they want to do, whether it's engineering or whether it's urban planning or just sciences in general. They're also finding out for the first time, actually getting to go into some of these places that they probably wouldn't have had access to before.
We are training our climate water advocates right now, not only on the history and the management of water and the Delta, but how are we going to deal with contemporary water quality problems? And to that end, now we have a program where we have them going out and observing conditions. We were so happy to come out of COVID. It was our first time out with them in the field last week. And we got to work with scientists from San Francisco Baykeeper, and they got to fly drones to look for HABs and harmful algal blooms, and they found them, okay? Showing them places where to go to actually get into the interior of the Delta. That is a program we are so committed to expanding, because what did we learn from COVID? Besides the fact that people need togetherness, we need data so that we can take care of our communities and protect ourselves. And being able to have young people who see it as a cultural resource and a recreational resource, but also as a job resource. This is career pathway work that we're doing with young adults. Our team, they're studying engineering, structural engineering, environmental engineering. They're studying urban planning. And so this goes hand in hand with what they are pursuing in their studies. And we're really trying to position ourselves to become EPA certified, US EPA, so that we are actually reporting quality data back to the government that the government can find useful in its management of the estuary. We think it's ripe for economic development. We think it's an environmental asset. And we think that doing this kind of work is problem solving.
Hello everyone, my name is Gloria Alonso. I am one of the interns that is working with Restore the Delta thanks to the Irvine grant. We're ensuring that we can have better water quality standards and better flood control practices in our region so that we can protect vulnerable communities. I am currently attending the Sacramento State University with an emphasis on geography and metropolitan area planning and geographic information systems. So the work that I've been doing with Restore the Delta has just exposed me to all the work in a context that I can understand and in a way that I can feel empowered and supported to continue to obtain higher education. The work that I've been doing with Restore the Delta has been so crucial to me, not just on an individual level, but also on a community, on an urban solidarity level, because it is oftentimes that people like me who come from low-income backgrounds, who are immigrants, who obtain English as a second language and are therefore sometimes linguistically isolated. These are the people that are left out in our communities, that do not get to provide the input to continue to build an environment that is not gonna displace them. So every time I attend the trainings provided by Restore the Delta, every time I go to one of the state board, of the water state board meetings, it is important for me to bring this to the table and to ensure that I can provide the lens through which I see my community as a place that we belong, regardless of the disparities that we can face. And it is a place that we can continue to build and enhance and just make it better for future generations to come.
Hi everyone, my name is Lonnie Thompson. I am an intern with Restore the Delta, and I'm just going to answer a couple of questions for you guys. Growing up in the Gen Z generation, I have heard about climate change and environmental justice issues since I was in grade school. And I've also seen as natural disasters and environmental crisis have become more and more common, not only in our country, but all over the world. And often I've faced the question of what can I do in order to be of service around this issue? What awareness can I bring to it? Where can I insert myself into it? And when thinking about that, I would think about local issues. And, in California, one local issue that everybody is kind of, talking about that's always in conversation is water quality, especially here in Stockton and the Delta areas. And and that's why this internship is so important to me, because Restore the Delta has taken the time to put in the work to engage and educate community members and residents and leaders on water quality and water issues that the Delta is facing, and preventative measures that we can take before any environmental issues that we are currently seeing get any worse. Restore the Delta has done crucial work in the past, and they are continuing to do work around environmental issues specific to the Delta in order to prevent it from becoming the next big crisis or the next big environmental crisis. And that's why I think they're so important to this community. And environmental justice is just an important topic to continue to engage around, because climate change is here. And we see it today, we see its effects today, and it's only going to get worse. So we must do now what we can in order to push the conversation forward and better prepare our communities, especially our minority communities, on the effects that climate change is going to have.
Hello, my name is Natalia Barraza, and I'm a water climate advocate for Restore the Delta. I am currently studying at UC San Diego, and I'm majoring in structural engineering. I have been an active volunteer for Restore the Delta for many years, and as time went by, I grew more and more passionate about advocating for water rights that affect the Delta and neighboring cities. I was born and raised in Stockton, California, where I was able to see firsthand the implications of climate change, redlining, and environmental injustice. The fisheries are important to me because they are protecting the ecosystem's health and creating sustainability, two things that are vital for the growth of the Delta. Fisheries have been underestimated for their potential to reduce fish losses and maintain fish supplies. While there have been policies implemented to solve the issues that were caused by the increase in water exports from the Delta, they're simply not enough. But these estuaries are collapsing, and many species of fish are near extinction, including our beloved salmon and our Delta snow. The Delta needs our help now more than ever, and it will continue needing our help for years to come. This is our responsibility, and it is up to us to bring it back to its former glory.
My name is Jarius Waiters, and I'm a climate and water intern with Restore the Delta. I wanted to take some time to talk about my experience interning for Restore the Delta and some things that I've learned that I think are very important and I find are very valuable. One of the first things that I was learning as I started was surrounding floods and the threat that floods pose to certain communities, like some communities in the South Stockton area. And in learning about those floods, it was really eye-opening for me because, one, I didn't know that the integrity of levees were even a threat to civilians. and I didn't really realize how close people were living to these bodies of water and these levees. I've really been enjoying my internship. I've learned so much and I've met people, and it's just every day is a new and amazing experience. I really am learning so much. Some of the things I'm learning I've never would have thought about before. For example, I learned about what a subbasin was. And it's just like there's every single day I'm like learning more and more. Like my knowledge on topics that we are covering was, I didn't even know, but it was so limited. And so I'm really being given the opportunity to expand what I know every single day. And I love that. So I think that's all I'd like to share for today. Again, my name is Darius Waiters. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Hello, my name is Catherine Perea, and I am a climate water advocate intern for Restore the Delta. I am a first-year student attending Humboldt State University, majoring in history. I was raised in Stockton, California, and growing up here, I've been able to witness the impacts of environmental degradation and inequity. For the past several years, I've been working with Restore the Delta, and since I began, I've learned a lot about the importance of environmental justice and activism. But most importantly, I've learned about the significance of the California Bay Delta and its estuaries. California's water management practices have severely impacted our salmon and delta smelt populations, an environmental and cultural landmark of the San Joaquin Bay Delta. Members of our community depend on our fish populations as a food source for them and their families. Our estuaries are on the verge of ruin, and many of our fish populations are close to the brink of extinction. The policies implemented to address the increase in water exports have done little to help our community. We need more. Our community and our environment deserve to thrive and prosper without the fear of environmental degradation. It is vital to both the members of this community and the species that live here that our water is safe and healthy. The toxic algal blooms and pollution currently threaten that. The prosperity of our natural habitats directly correlates to the prosperity and safety of the people in this area who depend on the Bay Delta estuary. As a result, it is our responsibility as citizens of this community to fight for sustainability so that future generations are able to appreciate the beauty and magnificence of this area the same way that we have. In addition to correcting the impact of damaging water management practices, there needs to be a focus on the importance of fisheries and how they can help our delta thrive. Fisheries can help us in maintaining fish populations so that our ecosystems can maintain balance and avoid ecological collapse. In addition, fish populations are important to maintain for those who depend on them as a source of both income and food. Furthermore, over the course of the last 2.5 years, the need for the implementation of the Bay Delta Plan and the reconsideration of voluntary agreements to Bay Delta standards has only increased. Instead of restoring flows to the San Joaquin Bay Delta so that we can remove toxic algal blooms, save declining fish populations, and eliminate the threat to public health, both our federal and state government have instead exported millions of acres of water for profit-driven purposes. Our community is once again being underserved by the institutions that are designed to protect us. Stockton and San Joaquin County are deserving of the same environmental prosperity and protection as other areas of California. To ignore our environmental needs is by extension to ignore our community as a whole. The two are intertwined. The people of my community deserve priority over almond fields in the desert. The decline of the Bay Delta estuary is a result of those who prioritize financial gain over the well-being of our environment and the people who inhabit it. As conditions worsen, it will be poor communities of color, our most vulnerable, who will be impacted the most. It is our job to ensure that our land and our people can thrive. Thank you.
Looking back when we were younger, when we were dumber, everything was lively. You were right beside me when we were younger. Looking back when we were different, we were persistent, everything was lovely. You were there to hold me when we were younger.
humming songs that we played in your old car.
I reminisce who we were back at the start.
Looking back, though it hurts to remember. Do you remember? Sometimes love is not enough. Not everything was lining up. Different stages,
Different pages,
but we'll let it be. These are all of the things that my first love taught to me. I never should have needed you. Eventually I learned the truth,
but I found it,
and I'll keep it. Took a while to see. These are all of the things that my first love taught to me. These are all of the things that my first love. Looking back when we were stupid, lost in confusion, everything was brand new. Glasses with the rose hue when we were younger. Sometimes love is not enough. Not everything was lining up. Different stages,
different pages,
but we'll let it be. These are all of the things that my first love taught to me. I never should have needed you. Eventually I learned the truth,
but I found it,
and I'll keep it. Took a while to see. These are all of the things that my first love taught to me. These are all of the things that my first love taught to me. Oh, these are all of the things that my first love.
Thank you for staying with us. I hope you feel all of the emotion that we are feeling. We're always a little tenderhearted after listening to our partners and our board members and our youth. And hopefully you can see a theme emerging this evening about how we are working to build the next generation in the future for protecting the estuary. But staying in the moment, we have business we also have to do, and we have to talk about our auction items. And all of these auction items are fun. They all celebrate the Delta. You can find the live auction, which will be running through Tuesday, June 8th at noon, in the story box at the bottom of the Give Butter website for Restore the Delta. And that's how you participate. So going into some of those descriptions, the Delta is a wonderful place to vacation and recreate, and coming out of COVID, we could all use a little vacation. So we have two great opportunities. Thank you to Nikki at Snug Harbor Resorts. We have a 3-day package for RV sites with full hookups. The starting bid for that is at $200. It's a $450 value. The second package we have from her is a 2-day stay at the Snuggle Inn waterfront, the rental cottages. We had a great time a couple years ago out there with youth we worked with a project with National Geographic. That is a value of $750. I think the starting bid is at $400. So please go grab it, make a bid, so you can have a little Delta vacation as life gets back to normal. Hook, Line, and Sinker, one of our favorite fishing shops in the West Delta and Oakley. They gave us a totally cool fishing hat and gift certificate for $50. You can bid on that. It makes a great Father's Day gift. We all know those dads and uncles in the Delta always want one of those cool fishing hats. The San Joaquin County Fun Pack, time to get your culture on as we come out of COVID. That includes 2 admission tickets for the San Joaquin County History Museum and 2 VIP passes for Stockton Civic Theater, and some coffee and some wonderful mugs from Market Post in Stockton. Oh, by the way, we will work out getting all these prizes to you. We have people to help deliver that, and we look forward to it because it'll actually give us a chance to visit with you all as you're making your bids. One of my favorite items in this auction is the wine tasting, 6 flight tasting tickets and a bottle of wine waiting for you at the estate tasting room at Herringer Estates. It's one of my favorite pieces of property in the Delta. There is nothing more wonderful than going and being able to sit out there, visit their new facility, drink some wonderful wine, have some snacks. Nice way to come out of COVID. Make a great Mother's Day gift. When we started Restore the Delta and I moved to this region, I was struck by how Delta people in this region love tri-tip. Every event includes tri-tip. And so we have a Delta barbecue basket for you that is which includes a gift card to Louis Meat Market, has all kinds of barbecue tools in it, nice package. We also have a Delta Urban Garden package from our friends In Season. In Season is just a remarkable business. They were part of our work at the Water Board. They rely on healthy water from this region to take care of that nursery. And so we're grateful for their package. They have great things if you go shopping there. We have a really special gift that would, at the auction, that would make a wonderful wedding gift because it is wedding season. And thank you to Richard Archbold for donating to us 2 really wonderful bottles of wine with high ratings from Sunset Magazine and the Wine Advocate, and a beautiful 5-piece decanter. It's a $200 value. So please take a look at that. Would make also a great Father's Day gift. I think I said Mother's Day before, but it's Father's Day that's coming up. We have baskets for Delta in the Morning, coffee for Market Post, and gift thermoses. We have a wonderful Delta kayaking experience at Lodi Lake, and that was donated by Headwaters Kayak Boutique. That's a $100 value, and we think it would just be a tremendous amount of fun for people, especially if you want to learn how to kayak somewhere a little safer before venturing out into the Delta proper. We have 3 beautiful pieces of art by Bill Oplinger. One in particular is a Delta landscape that is absolutely stunning. Those are listed at the auction site. Again, you can find that at the story box at the bottom of the Give Butter page. We want to thank our auction sponsors, Snug Harbor, Hook, Line, and Sinker, Veray Wickham, Headwaters, Kayak Boutique, In Season, Market Post, Nishka Udnich, Louis Market, Stockton Civic Theater, San Joaquin County Museum, Richard Archbold, and Herringer Estates. Next, we are going to present in the next segment our Delta Advocate Award to fishing leader Jim Cox. He's the president of California Striped Bass. We're going to hear from our longtime partner and friend, San Joaquin County Supervisor Kathy Miller. And following Kathy's talk, there's going to be a really wonderful, energetical music performance by Baseball Greg and an excerpt from an in-depth conversation that we held last week with former Sierra Club director Catherine Phillips, director of With Our Words in Stockton, poet laureate Tama Brisbane, and our own Mariah Looney. They're going to chat about the future of the Delta and how we create a regional plan for sustainability and stewardship. And hold on a second. We're on our way.
Hi, I'm Mike Machado, and I want to thank you for participating in today's fundraiser for Restore the Delta.
Welcome to this segment of our show. This is one of my happiest activities that we try to engage in every year at Restore the Delta. We did miss 2020 with COVID, but we're so happy this year to be awarding our Delta Advocate Award to Jim Cox. who is the president of California Striped Bass Association, and who is a charter boat captain who has fished and traveled in the estuary by water for decades. There are a couple things that I just absolutely love about Jim's work in the community. First and foremost is that Jim is one of the most thoughtful speakers that I've had the honor or the pleasure to work with all these years. We have stood shoulder to shoulder at water board hearings, Delta Stewardship Council meetings, workshops with the Department of Water Resources. We've served together on the SEC, which is the Delta committee that interacts with the Design Construction Authority for the tunnel project. And Jim has the passion that you find in the fishing community. He speaks from the heart, but he always has the figures and he has the facts. So he has this perfect balance of speaking from the heart, but presenting facts and being factual and using data and understanding government policies and process. And that is the perfect balance with an advocate. It has to be heart and head. And he exemplifies that. He exemplifies that in his leadership. The committee that has been informing, giving advice on the Delta Tunnel, a project none of us want. It's a hard committee to serve on, but he also handles his responsibilities there the same way. He has his position, he has his moral center, he works from a place of moral authority, and yet he is always polite, professional, firm, and factual. Right now, there is an effort by DWR to gather what would community benefits look like if the tunnel were built. For a lot of people, that's an impossible question to answer. We have really wanted people to continue engaging in that process. We were so happy that Jim worked with the fishing community to actually put together a proposal of what they would see a community benefit would be. Again, doesn't mean that you support the project, but if we're going to be able to advocate for ourselves and represent ourselves, we have to show up, we have to do the hard work, we have to hold our moral center, and we have to speak the truth. And Jim has done that so effectively in his leadership. So I think we're going to be cutting in a photograph later of the award. The award is still in transit because that is COVID. That is our reality.
Oh boy.
But I just want to say welcome to you, Jim, and congratulations on earning the Delta Advocate Award for this last year. We are so grateful to you.
Well, I want to thank Restore the Delta for this year's Delta Advocate Award. I am very humbled and appreciative. Thank you very much. It was 40 years ago when I became a member of the California Striped Bass Association. And I want to mention two of the men that became my mentors at CSBA. First was Barry Canterbarrow, who was president at the time. He introduced me to the club and encouraged my membership. Another mentor was a man that was no stranger around here, Jay Sorensen. We sadly lost Jay last year, and I miss him a lot. But these gentlemen taught me how to fish. But they also taught me that there's a lot more to fishing than just hooks, baits, and lures. There's the responsibility to make sure there are fish for future generations. And that has been my mission for the last 40 years. A successful advocate cannot be an advocate by themselves. They cannot possibly know all there is to know about everything. And so I want to mention some of the people that I go to for support. I want to mention Dr. David Ostrak, a marine biology PhD, who has been my go-to guy with fishery questions. Dr. David has always answered my questions thoroughly. He is a great supporter of our side, and I want to thank him for the help he has given me through the years. Working hand in hand with Dr. David is John Beutler, whose understanding of fishery-related laws and history of water projects has always been a big help. I also must mention my cohort in crime and fellow CSBA member, Mr. Roger Mammon. Together, we have managed to irritate panelists at public comment meetings for the last few years. I also want to mention Barbara, who is just simply known as Barbara from Restore the Delta. She is the catalyst that brings all these factions in the Delta together. She has a wealth of information and not afraid to kick some butts when motivation lags. Thank you, Barbara, for all you do. I know that Restore the Delta is a coalition of different interests. Many of these different groups involve younger people. To those younger people who are getting their first exposure to advocacy, I say hurrah! My only advice is always do what you think is right. There will be times when it looks hopeless, and that is when you need to dig your heels in and work even harder. I firmly believe, and I mean this from my heart, I firmly believe the future of the Delta is bright with so many younger people involved in our cause of restoring the Delta. This award will help to motivate me to what I hope will be many more years of Delta advocacy. Thank you very much to Restore the Delta and everyone involved in our cause.
I can't thank you enough. It makes us feel so good to know that our advocates who are part of our peer group and our generation are recognizing how important it is for us to bring the next generation forward into advocating and shaping the future of the Delta. So we thank you for your support for that and for supporting our work all these years and for the great friendship we have with you and with Roger, of course, who's on our board and part of this show, and with the larger fishing community. Our hearts are with you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm San Joaquin County Supervisor Kathy Miller. I've represented the City of Stockton and San Joaquin County on water issues since 2009. And for that decade plus, Restore the Delta has been an invaluable partner. On the San Joaquin Delta Coalition, Barbara Berrigan-Perea and her RTD team provided an important environmental perspective at the table and helped us forge a strong and precedent-setting partnership between local government, the business, agriculture, and development communities, and the environmental community. We came together not just in opposition to the twin tunnels being proposed, but also to advocate for water resources for our farmers, improve water quality for our residents, and protection of our unique and irreplaceable Delta. As a 5 Delta County coalition was born, Restore the Delta joined us and continued to stand side by side to protect the Delta's historic communities and our Delta way of life, where we fish, swim, drink, and farm. Restore the Delta has been at our side fighting for real, common sense solutions to California's water issues and taking a lead in speaking for some of our most marginalized and disadvantaged communities who bear an oversized burden when our air and water quality is negatively impacted. They have built strong coalitions and partnerships with these community organizations, which have improved quality of life and promoted social justice. Powerful special interests have worked against us, hoping to break up our unique Delta coalition and steamroll us, diverting our highest quality water south and leaving us with the horrific impacts of a devastated Delta. But it hasn't worked. And our success in holding together our coalition is due in no small part to our partnership with Restore the Delta. To everyone who cares about our Delta and wants to see it protected for future generations, I say, support Restore the Delta. Your financial support is critical to their ability to continue fighting for us all.
I'm sad Sandra, and you know why. I won't see our daughter high when she'll come home drunk at midnight, feeling joyful or pride. We would stare ourselves and worry, checking the clock twice and scurry to the door as soon as we hear the sound of keys falling to the ground. I'm sad Sandra, I'm slowly dying, but I've decided to lie. I won't tell you how I'll miss the scent of your hair when I kiss you. Disappear as a burning leaf. We're smoking some kind of relief, but in my mind I'm still afraid. I don't wanna die now, 'cause if I die alone, ascending like a drone. I'll be unnoticed in 2 years, my memory gone with ease. No more tears. I'm sad Sandra, I'm trying to die. Don't worry, I'm a tough guy. I no longer want to talk. Here it comes, last insulin shock. This life turned out to be futile. My body feels so stupid. Don't forget me as I go with the flow. I'm shooting my last free throw, 'cause if I die alone, ascending like a drone. I'll be unnoticed in 2 years, my memory gone with ease. No more tears. Cause if I die alone, ascending like a drone. I'll be unnoticed in 2 years, my memory gone with ease. No more tears.
You must have ideas, because so much of this has been built into your work, what you think, where are we at? What do we physically want to see? What do we kind of want to see for people here going forward? And then Mariah does so much to support all the rest of us at Restore the Delta that she doesn't get to have her say so terribly often. So I wanted to make sure that she had a chance for her say too, as one of our younger adult leaders and professionals in development. So.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, prepping to come into the call, and it occurred to me that one of the things that we've lost that was foundational to Stockton, and in particular to the African American community in Stockton, was Reggae on the Delta. And we used to have that annually. And I thought about the fact that we don't have as many festival type activities that are located on the Delta. And I think that's such a huge gateway to engage youth and young adults, particularly youth and young adults of color, is if we either planted or replanted entertainment roots inside of the Delta, and working with Restore the Delta to figure out how to do it so that it's fun, it's friendly, but it's not damaging at the same time. And I think there's a way to braid all of those things together. And I think that as we come back online from COVID, this is probably a really good moment to start visioning that and then mapping it out.
You know, I love that idea, and it kind of ties in with something I've been thinking about, and that is, you know, what would it be like if you were somebody who had who wanted to set up an ecotourism business, or wanted a fishing business, or wanted to do cultural things and have festivals, and hanging over you for more than 50 years, conservatively 50 years, if you're thinking about the last time they were talking about a peripheral canal, and then now it's moved into tunnels, etc. But hanging over you is this threat of destroying your community, destroying the site of what would be this ecological attraction, this ecotourism attraction, or a place where you could have fests, or even where you can have a healthy small business, or a place that you could attract larger companies that could provide some of the kinds of jobs that would keep young people, so you wouldn't drain. I mean, what if you didn't have this knife hanging over you, this threat of this massive tunnel project that's really going to tear up the area, tear up its heart? So when I think about what we could have in the Delta, I love what you were saying, Tama, about planning for these festivals, planning for things. What if you planned for what would the Delta be, what would Stockton be without this threat? And I think you'd find that it could be a much more vibrant, it could be economically more stable. I mean, businesses, small and big, like nothing more than predictability, than certainty. Certainty is sort of the byword of business. How can you have certainty if you don't know if your property is going to be condemned and taken away, or if your small business is not going to have any traffic in front of it for 15 years while they decide to excavate for a tunnel?
I also think a lot about, particularly in Stockton, because I grew up in East Stockton, born and raised, and until 2015, when I became an intern for Restore the Delta, I had absolutely no idea the Delta's impact, not just on the region, but on California. And so, unfortunately, that's a typical Stockton story. And, you know, we're seeing that a lot with our climate water advocates, where they're all so invested in, you know, what they want to do, whether it's engineering or whether it's urban planning or just sciences in general. They're also finding out for the first time, actually getting to go into some of these places that they probably wouldn't have had access to before.
So the outcome from this extended conversation will be made available to the public next week. And we had some really great outcomes that came from that talk. We have decided that we are going to be planning for the fall. We'll give you a save the date here pretty quickly. A regional health and planning process for the Delta, a conference that will be led by regional women leaders for the Delta. We've noticed in movements across the world that change happens when women come together to lead the way. And we think it's time to do the same in the Delta. So we will be sharing that conversation with you all next week. Quickly, we want to remind everyone of the beautiful vacation stays, baskets, food, wine, and art available on the auction site that will be up through Tuesday at noon. You can go to the bottom of the Give Butter page in the story box and shop away. And last, we want to remind everyone of our major Fund a Need campaign. This is a campaign that is really more for our major donors and contributors. And you can see what you can fund at higher dollar levels. And you can find that in the story box at the bottom of the page as well. For our last segment today, we are going to finish with a great performance by Papa Hip, Save Our Country. It just resonates with Save the Delta, and a video that truly lays it all out and leaves it on the table on why Restore the Delta is important and what we want to see in our decision-making as a community, as a region, and as a state for the future of the estuary.
Come on, people, come on, children, come on down to my Glory River. I'm washing you up, I'm gonna wash you down. We're gonna lay that devil down. We're gonna lay that devil down. So come on, people, come on, children. There's a king at the Glory River, and the precious king, he wants the people to sing, bathed in the blinking sun. We're singing, we shall overcome, 'cause I got fury in my soul, and fury's gonna take me to my glory goal, as a mind won't study war no more. We're gonna save the people, yeah. We're gonna save the children, yeah. We're gonna save the people, save the children, save the country. Come on, people, sons and mothers, let's keep the dream of the two young brothers. Let's take that dream and ride that dove, 'cause we can build a dream with love, I know. We can build a dream with love, people. We can build a dream with love, I know. We could build a dream with love.
Thank you for watching. Thanks for participating. Thank you for your support. Have a great night. Have a great weekend.